Hi guys, it's Jen here. I just wanted to go over some of the mobility training verbiage that you might hear during our powerlifting mobility sessions that maybe you're not familiar with. So before we go through our mobility sessions, I just wanted to highlight a couple things that perhaps if I say it and you don't understand it, I want to tell you what it means, what it should feel like, what it should look like. So just a couple things. In yoga, we have some cues that we use while we're doing yoga, and so it might sound a little funny. So the first one is belly to spine. So when that means belly to spine, it means to engage your core and press your belly button towards your spine. So a lot of the times we don't realize we're just sagging our belly or we're not engaging it fully. So you want to suck in your belly, kind of harden it up, and press your belly button towards your spine. So that helps tuck our pelvis under and helps keep our entire trunk, this core of our torso, nice and strong as we're moving through the poses, as we're gaining mobility. And a lot of that does come from our core strength. So that is belly to spine. The other thing I wanted to show you during our high to mid planks, also known as chaturangas in yoga, is the L shape of your hand. So when I talk about the L shape of our hand, it's that index finger to thumb shape. So when you're pressing into your high plank position or your downward facing dog, you mostly want to press all of the weight through the index finger and the thumb. So you kind of take weight out of the outside 3 fingers. You also take weight out of the wrist. So we don't want to dump a lot of our weight into our wrists because our wrists are really sensitive. So what that looks like in a high plank, also my shoulders are over my wrists, okay? And I'm pressing down also into the knuckles, and I'm also pressing down into the index finger and thumb, trying to lift the outside 3 fingers. You're also taking that weight out of the wrists. All right, so that's what it means when you hear the L shape. So pressing into the L shape of your palms. The next thing I will show you is 3 options for chaturanga. Option 1, 2, and 3. And again, they are all great options. No chaturanga option 1, 2, or 3 is better than another. You just need to listen to your body and try all 3 out while you're doing these mobility sessions. So our high to mid plank, again, also called chaturanga. So our first option 1 is going to be holding high plank. Again, pressing into the L shape of my palm, drawing the heel back. So you kind of feel like you're locking your body into place. Again, notice shoulders over wrists. My spine is long. I'm not dropping the hips too much, just kind of neutral and not lifting them up too high. All right, so this is option 1, holding high plank. Breathe in to downward facing dog. Lift the hips and soften the heels. You can have a slight bend in the knees. Draw your shoulder blades to touch. We'll get to that soon. So again, option 1, right here. Option 2, if your shoulders are feeling weak or your wrists are hurting, you can drop to the knees here to modify. From here, keep the palms where they are. Tuck elbows into your ribs. So your elbow tips point to the back of the room. Good, and then to upward facing dog. Notice my shoulders stay above the wrists. Press into the tops of your feet, knees hover. Good, you can come back to the knees, that tabletop position, curl the toes. Downward facing dog, again, bend the knees, draw shoulder blades to touch. That's option 2. Option 3 is full strength from high plank. Come forward just a couple inches. Again, tucking elbows into your ribs so they don't drop more than 90 degrees. Flip over to the tops of your feet, upward facing dog. Shoulders over wrists, kneecaps hover off of the earth. Good, and then curl the toes under from high plank to downward facing dog. All right, so you have those options 1, 2, or 3. I'll go through them one more time. Option 1, high plank. Breathe in to downward facing dog. Option 2, from the knees, tuck elbows into ribs, looking forward. Upward facing dog, shoulders over wrists. Good. Drawing the shoulder blades to touch. Good. And back to tabletop curl toes, down dog. Option 3, from high plank, forward a couple inches. Elbows squeeze your rib cage. Good, keep the chest lifted. Open up, draw shoulder blades to touch. High plank to downward facing dog. All right, so those are your options 1, 2, or 3. The last thing I'd like to highlight is when we say shoulders to touch. So that just means a lot of us sit rounded. Most of the time we don't realize it. So I want you to pretend you have a small pencil between your shoulder blades and you're squeezing that tiny, maybe a golf pencil, between the shoulder blades. So as you squeeze the shoulder blades to touch, your chest broadens, it opens up. So as opposed to sitting here with rounded shoulders in, squeeze that small pencil between the shoulder blades, shoulders to touch. And that also helps relax the shoulders if we're shrugging, to draw the shoulder blades together and down our back. So we create this nice space from our earlobes all the way to our shoulders. So those are some of the things I just want to highlight in case if you hear them during our mobility sessions, you don't quite understand, which is totally fine. But I just wanted to bring those to your attention. So thank you for joining me, and let's get started.